Greetings. So, when I first started my coaching process, certification process, I understood that coaching was mostly about punctuation, that is, fewer periods and more question marks. There are a number of reasons why this is so, and here are three of them. And here are some of the question types I found very useful that I used early on and well into my career. So, about 20 years ago, after completing my coaching certification, I was involved in a couple of personal development programs. Both of them were based on Western psychological principles, Eastern spiritual traditions. And early on in one of the programs, I was meeting with one of my teachers, and I was explaining to him a challenge that I was experiencing. So he listened to me very patiently, and then he asked, when I was done, why do you think this is happening for you? I was a little bit taken aback. I wasn't sure what he meant. So I said, what do you mean? He said, why do you think this challenge is happening for you? So in essence, he was saying that of these 7 or 8 billion people on the planet, this particular incident, this particular challenge was put on your path for you, not someone else. And the curiosity is, why was it put on your path? What's the lesson for you? What's the learning for you? What's the insight for you? Not about him, not about her, not about them, not about it, about you. What's the learning for you about you? What does the universe want you to see about yourself so that you can continue to grow and learn and develop and mature and stop moving through life as a wounded 6-7-year-old little boy, feeling sorry for himself? So this question was the beginning of a journey where I took a 180-degree change in direction in the course of my life with respect to how I viewed the world, how I viewed people in the world, how I viewed all the triggers in the world, places, events, things, objects, situations that would trigger me into my negative reactivity and allow me to take a more open, loving, compassionate perspective of what was going on in my life so that I could learn and grow and develop and become a better human being and become a better person on the planet because of it. And it's made a huge difference in my life. So when he asked me, why do you think this is happening for you? He meant physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and mentally. What was going on within me that brought me to the emotional reactivity I was manifesting? My anger, my sadness, my confusion, my fear. This was really eye-opening for me because I was brought up to live in a world of victim consciousness, that whenever there was a disappointment in my life, a challenge in my life, a failure in my life, the first thing I would do is to blame and point fingers that something or someone else was responsible for that, making me feel confused, angry, sad, mad. And at that point, I began to take accountability and responsibility for my emotional reactivity. In other words, I began to see problems and challenges and so on as not problems and challenges, but opportunities to become more clear in how I am in the world, how I perceive the world, how I perceive myself in the world, how I respond and react to people, places, circumstances, events, and opportunities. It was a huge difference in my life. It's made a huge difference in my coaching practice. It's made a huge difference in the way I coach myself. So I want to share with you a few thoughts about the question, why is this happening for you? And you can see how it resonates with you. So let's move from the 50,000 foot level down to ground level and consider everyday life at work, at home, at play, when we're out and about. Here are 30 everyday circumstances or events that for me seem pretty common. You may have experienced one or more of these events in the past. You may be experiencing one or more of these events currently. So pause the video to look at each list, and then I'll see you on the other side. So for many folks, this type of event or circumstance serves as a trigger. So being triggered, an individual often responds with an emotion such as anger, fear, confusion, or sadness, or some flavor of anger, fear, confusion, or sadness. So take a look at these synonyms for anger, fear, confusion, and sadness, and again, I'll see you on the other side. So this is where the question, why is this happening for me, instead of to me, comes into play. Dr. Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I don't know how many people wake up in the morning and say to themselves, I need to change my life. I need to change the way I look at things. From my experience over the years, I would say it usually takes some type of circumstance or event that tugs on one's sleeve and brings them to the place where they feel they need to change, to take a different perspective. And here are some examples of those events. So many folks achieve this perspective by working on emotional intelligence and mastery, whether working independently or with the support of professionals such as coaches, counselors, therapists, or trusted friends or colleagues or advisors who understand the nuances of psychological well-being and spiritual growth. So achieving a level of emotional mastery and psycho-spiritual understanding supports individuals to deal with challenges in their life with empathy, compassion, and equanimity, transforming what are normally potentially negative experiences into opportunities for personal growth and development. So just to be clear, this level of spiritual, psycho-emotional growth and development is a journey. It's a journey that takes us to a place where we strive to be. I personally don't know of anybody who's at 10 with respect to spiritual growth and development and equanimity and inner peace and calm and acceptance. So given that, I've taken 10 of the triggers that we saw a few minutes ago and want to show you how somebody who might be on the path of spiritual growth and development, psychological health and well-being, emotional mastery, might respond to those 10 events. So I think it's important to understand the concept that life's events, whether seemingly trivial or significant, are not just random occurrences, but opportunities for deep personal growth and reflection. This shift in perspective is not about dismissing the frustrations and disappointments that come our way, but rather seeing them through the lens of personal development and growth. Each challenge is a mirror, reflecting back to us those parts of ourselves that we can choose to understand and examine and ultimately transform if we choose. And cultivating a mindset that views every situation as an opportunity for personal growth, we not only foster emotional resilience and mastery, but also open our minds and our hearts to a greater sense of peace and fulfillment in our lives. So this approach does not negate the reality of our experiences, but enriches them, offering paths to wisdom and enlightenment that were previously obscured by our judgments and reactions.